Her credit card bill showed hotel suites and spa days, all signed with his name beside hers. Let me tell you something before I begin. Betrayal doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, hiding in the small things you overlook. A sudden smile at her phone, a late-night meeting that stretches too long, a laugh that sounds just a little too rehearsed. You brush them off because you love her, because you trust her, because the alternative feels too unbearable to even imagine. And then one day the truth arrives. Not with a bang, but in a thin white envelope stuffed in the mailbox, wrapped in the ordinary rhythm of life. That day was a Tuesday. Just a Tuesday. I'd come home from work exhausted, shoulders aching, tie loosened, dreaming only of a shower and a quiet dinner. The pile of mail sat on the counter, where she'd left it. Bills, catalogs, junk. I flipped through them, absent-mindedly, until I saw her credit card statement. She usually handled her own bills, but something about the thickness of the envelope caught my attention. Heavier than usual. I told myself I wasn't snooping. I was just curious. I tore it open, sat down at the kitchen table, and began scanning down the list. At first nothing jumped out. Groceries, gas, a few online orders, but then my eyes landed on it. Ocean Crest Hotel, 7-4 Houghton. 2 lines below, Serenity Spa Retreat, 3089, I9, and both charges, in the merchant's notes, signature required, both signed with her name, and another, his name. I read it once, twice, 10 times, hoping I'd misread, hoping it was a glitch. But there it was, in black ink on white paper, undeniable. Her name, his name, side by side. I sat there for what felt like an hour, the paper crinkling in my hands, my pulse hammering in my ears. I could hear the fridge humming, the clock ticking, the faint sound of traffic outside. Ordinary sounds in an ordinary home, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. When she walked in later, shopping bag on her arm, hair falling perfectly in place like it always did, she kissed my cheek and asked how my day was. I almost laughed. How my day was. My day had ended the moment I saw that bill. I didn't confront her right away. That might sound strange, but shock does that to you. It freezes you. You tell yourself you need more proof, because maybe, just maybe, there's an explanation. Maybe it was a work retreat. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe. You cling to the maybes because the alternative means your entire life is a lie. So I waited, watched, listened. The next evening, I casually asked how her weekend trip had been. She blinked, surprised, then smiled quickly and said, "Relaxing. Much needed." She didn't elaborate, didn't offer details, and when I asked if she went alone, she hesitated, just long enough, then nodded. Of course. That pause told me more than 100 confessions could. From then on, the world became sharper. I noticed everything. The way she guarded her phone, like it was a treasure chest. The way she stayed late at work, more often. The way her eyes flickered whenever my brother's name came up in conversation. Yes, my brother. I should have told you earlier. His name on that bill wasn't just anyone's. It was his. That realization nearly knocked the wind out of me. My own blood. My best man. At the wedding. My childhood partner in crime. The guy I trusted more than anyone. His name. Her name. Written together, like they belonged side by side. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathing beside me, steady, calm, as if she carried no weight at all. And I wondered how long she'd been pretending, how many nights she'd laid beside me while her heart was somewhere else, with someone else. But betrayal isn't just a single moment. It's a puzzle, and once you see the first piece, you can't stop until you've put the whole picture together. So I started gathering, quietly, carefully, every receipt, every message I could glimpse when her phone lit up, every excuse she gave. I even drove to that Ocean Crest Hotel one night, sat in the parking lot, staring up at the glowing windows, imagining them inside, laughing, drinking, whispering. While I sat outside, invisible, I didn't cry. Not then. The tears would come later, but in that moment, all I felt was steel. Cold, sharp steel sliding into place where my trust used to be. I started testing her, asking small questions, watching her lies stumble. How was yoga? I'd ask. She'd smile, say great, but her mat was untouched in the trunk of her car. How's your coworker, Julie? I'd ask. She'd nod. Good. But Julie had quit 2 months ago. Little lies, tiny cracks, but enough to show me the whole structure was rotting. I could have confronted them right then. Could have stormed into his house, thrown the receipts on the table, screamed until the neighbors called the cops. But rage burns fast. And I didn't want fast. I wanted lasting. Because if they thought they could sign their names side by side and erase me from the story, they had no idea that I was the one holding the pen. I began planning, not just for confrontation, but for exposure, for truth so undeniable, it would choke them. They'd chosen to humiliate me in secret, to laugh behind my back while they lounged in hotel suites, so I would choose to reveal them in the open. The first opportunity came sooner than I expected. My parents' anniversary party. A big one. Family, friends, neighbors. Everyone gathered in the hall where we'd celebrated birthdays and weddings for years. And both of them, my wife and my brother, would be there, together, pretending. I knew it was the perfect stage, but I didn't want to rush. Timing matters in revenge. You don't pull the curtain down until the actors are in the middle of their lines. So I waited, watched, collected. By the time the party rolled around, I had a folder. Receipts, screenshots, photos, her credit card bills, his text message, even a photo of them checking into the hotel together, smiling at the concierge like the world was theirs. And as I stood in that hall, drink in hand, watching them laugh and mingle like nothing was wrong, I felt strangely calm, because I knew what was coming. The truth. When the truth comes, it doesn't whisper. I stood in that hall, the chatter of my family echoing off the walls, my mother fussing with flowers, my father laughing too loudly at an uncle's joke, and the two of them, my wife and my brother, circulating like actors in a play they thought they were directing. She wore a red dress I had once told her was my favorite, and I hated myself for noticing how good it looked on her. He wore a suit I recognized because I had helped him pick it out last year. Everything about them felt like mine, stolen and repurposed. Smiled at everyone, told stories, leaned just close enough to make it look casual but not close enough to arouse suspicion, at least not from people who didn't know what I knew. But I knew, and knowledge, when you carry it long enough, starts to feel heavy. That night though, it didn't feel heavy. It felt sharp, like I had turned my pain into a blade I could finally wield. Dinner was served, wine was poured, laughter rose and fell like waves. My wife stood at the front of the hall, tapping her glass for attention. "I'd like to propose a toast," she said, smiling that radiant smile everyone adored. She raised her glass high. My brother moved closer, almost instinctively, as if drawn to her by invisible strings. And in that moment, I knew it was time. I stood before she could speak another word. Calm, steady. Every eye turned to me. "Before we toast," I said, voice carrying just enough to hush the room, "I think it's only fair that we share a different kind of celebration, one of truth." The whispers began immediately. She froze, glass hovering mid-air, her smile faltering. My brother stiffened, his jaw tightening. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I kept my face neutral. I walked to the projector. The family had set up for a slideshow of my parents' old photos. Instead of baby pictures and wedding snapshots, I plugged in my drum. The screen flickered, and then it began. First slide, a credit card bill. Her name, his name. The Ocean Crest Hotel. Gasps rippled through the room. Second slide, Serenity Spa Retreat. Another signature, both names side by side. My aunt clutched her pearls like we were in some bad soap opera. Third slide, a photo I had taken from a distance. The two of them checking into the hotel together, her hand brushing his arm, his grin wide and shameless. The room erupted. My mother's hand flew to her mouth, tears brimming. My father's face turned red, veins bulging in his neck. Cousins whispered furiously. Friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats. And me? I didn't yell, I didn't rage. I simply turned to her and said, "Do you want to finish your toast now? To your soulmate?" Her glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. She stammered something. Excuses. Lies. Who knows? My brother tried to step forward, to say it wasn't what it looked like. But no one listened. Not anymore. The evidence was on the screen. Undeniable, roaring louder than any of their words. I walked out of that hall, the sound of chaos behind me. Her crying, my father shouting, relatives arguing. I didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt light, free. The days that followed were a storm. Calls, texts, messages from every direction, half the family furious with them, half in disbelief. Friends reaching out to apologize for not noticing sooner. My parents shattered, heartbroken, that their son's bond had been destroyed in such a way. And her? She tried to contact me, of course. Long emails filled with apologies, explanations, declarations that she never meant to hurt me. She said she had been confused, that it was a mistake, that she still loved me. But love doesn't leave signatures on hotel bills. Love doesn't sit beside your brother while you sit at home, painting nurseries, planning anniversaries, holding on to hope. I ignored every word. My brother tried to. One text, "We need to talk." I didn't reply, because talking is for people who made mistakes. He hadn't made a mistake. He'd made a choice. The fallout consumed them. Her job found out someone had screenshotted the slideshow and shared it. He lost friends, respect, everything he thought made him untouchable. Their picture-perfect image crumbled, and I didn't have to lift a finger. They did it themselves. All I did was hold up the mirror. But let me tell you something most people don't understand about betrayal. It doesn't end when you expose them. It doesn't end when everyone knows, because the real battle isn't with them, it's with yourself. Nights were the hardest. The bed felt too big, the silence too loud. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage, wondering how much of it had been real. Had she ever loved me? Or had I just been a placeholder, a convenient option, until she found what she thought was better? Those thoughts clawed at me, gnawed at me, kept me awake, until dawn. But slowly, painfully slowly, I started to rebuild. I threw out the things that carried her fingerprints, the wine glasses she loved, the throw pillows she insisted we needed, the perfume bottles lined up on the dresser. Each item gone was like removing a thorn from my skin. I started writing. Every thought, every memory, every rage-filled question. At first it was messy, jagged, but over time it became something else. A map, a way of understanding not just what had happened, but who I was without her. And I realized something important. She hadn't destroyed me. She had revealed me. She had shown me what I was capable of surviving. Months later, I saw her in a grocery store, alone. She looked smaller somehow, worn down. She spotted me, froze, then whispered, "Do you want to talk?" I shook my head. No, I already said everything I needed to. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't stay to watch. I walked away. And for the first time I didn't feel pain. I felt peace. Because in the end, she thought her credit card bill was just another statement. She thought it was a secret between her and him, a slip that would go unnoticed. But it wasn't. It was the receipt for the life they tried to steal from me. And I made sure the whole world saw it. So when people ask me now what it felt like, finding those hotel charges, those spa days signed with their names, I tell them this. At first it felt like death, but later it felt like rebirth. Because betrayal doesn't end you, it frees you. And the sweetest revenge isn't rage, it's survival. It's walking away with your head high, while they drown in the lies they built together.